All right, so we are recording. We're going to do fraction operations next. So I'm going to do an addition example, a subtraction example, a multiplication example, and a division example. So with addition and subtraction, we need common denominators. All right, common denominators. So between 2 and 3, numbers are on the bottom. I need to have a common denominator, which is going to be 6. So we can only change these fractions by multiplying by 1. If I multiply by 1, nothing changes in my value. So I need to get this fraction to look like something with a 6 on the bottom. And the same thing with my second fraction. 2 times what makes that 6? 2 times 3. Now remember, this fraction I'm multiplying by has to equal 1. So the denominator is 3, the numerator has to be 3. Okay, same thing over here. 3 times 2 makes 6, so the numerator has to be 2 because 2 divided by 2 is 1. So now I have the 3 times 2 and 3 times 2, which gives me 6. 3 times 1 gives me a new numerator of 3. 1 times 2 gives me a new numerator of 2. So making sure you're multiplying, you're not adding those numerators. But now I will add the numerators because they have the common denominators. 3 plus 2 is 5, and I keep the common denominator. So once I've done all that work to get the 6, I'm going to keep that 6 in the bottom, in that denominator slot, and have 5 6. All right, for subtraction, remember you can pause the video whenever you need. Again, a common denominator, so when I multiply by 5 over 5 and 2 over 2. All right, both of these are equal to 1. 5 divided by 5 is 1, 2 divided by 2 is 1, and 5 times 2 is 10, and that gets me that common denominator that I'm looking for. I keep that subtraction symbol, it stays there. 5 times 1 gives me my new numerator of 5. 1 times 2 gives me a new numerator of 2. And now I'm going to subtract those numerators. 5 minus 2 is 3. So this is 3/10. Again, I keep that denominator of the 10. Once you do all the work to get that numerator, the denominator that's common, keep it. All right, for sake of time, I'm moving on to keep the video small. So for multiplication, we use parentheses. Do not use an X. Please use parentheses for multiplication. So there's 2 ways we could do this. We can multiply straight across and then simplify, or we can simplify first and then multiply straight across. I will do both ways. So this first way, I'm going to multiply straight across. 2 times 4 is 8. 5 times 12. 5 times 10 is 50. 5 times 2 is 10. 50 plus 10 is 60. Now 8 and 60 have something in common. I know they have a 2 in common. So if I divide them both by 2, 8 divided by 2 is 4. 6 divided by 2 is 3. Add on a 0, I get 30. Well, I can see there's another thing they have in common. There's another 2. So divide by 2 again. I get 2 over 15. And that is my final answer. That's simplifying after I multiply. Now, if I did it again, and I notice you have to have one numerator and one denominator. You have to have one of each to simplify. So 2 and 5, nothing in common. 4 and 12, ooh, they have something in common. 2 and 12, they have something in common. 4 and 5, nothing in common. So I could simplify the 2 and the 12, or I can simplify the 4 and the 12. I'm going to go with 2 and the 12 and just show that. So 2 and 12 have 2 in common. 2 divided by 2, 1. 12 divided by 2 is 6. But look, this 4 and 6 still have something in common. So I'm going to divide by 2 again. 4 divided by 2 is 2. 6 divided by 2 is 3. So now I have a 1 times 2. That's my numerator, is 2. I have a 5 times 3. That's my denominator, and it's 15. I get the exact same answer. I did just as much work. It's just I didn't show as much on the paper. I'm simplifying more in my head instead of writing it out every single step. Both ways work. It's up to you which way you want to use and which problem wants which one, more so than the others. All right, division. Remember, we multiply by the reciprocal. So this is going to be 2/7 times, what's the reciprocal of 11 over 22? 22 over 11. Again, I'm going to try to simplify. I need one numerator and one denominator. 2 and 7, nothing. 2 and 11, nothing. 22 and 7, nothing. 22 and 11, ooh, they have something in common. They have 11 in common. 22 divided by 11 is 2. 11 divided by 11 is 1. Okay? 2 times 2 gives me 4. 7 times 1 gives me 7. Totally good with that answer. Remember that I like improper fractions, so if it was improper, you can leave it there. As long as it's simplified, you're good. I prefer this second method for simplifying, but the first one's just as good. So pause the video wherever you need to go back to and rewatch, and we should be good.